All right, the next item on the file menu going down here is the open command. We'll take a look at the open command in the file menu, but we'll also look at 3 alternate ways that you can open files within SoundForge. Drag and drop from the desktop or Explorer. Toolbar, where there's actually a toolbar button that you can choose to open files. And SoundForge's built-in File Explorer. We'll take a look at all 4 of those in this movie. Okay, here we are in SoundForge. We're in our basic blank workspace. We're going to go up to the File menu, and we're going to choose the Open dialog box. Now, as I mentioned in other movies, you can see that we've got some command key shortcuts. In this case, and in some other cases within SoundForge as well, you have multiple choices for the command key equivalents. So in this case for open, not only do I have this open dialog control choice here, but I have Control O, I also have Control Alt F2, and all 3 will do the exact same thing. So if I click on the open dialog, it presents me with this box here, and it lets me choose whatever file I want to open. It lets me look at different kinds of file types. If I don't see the file that I'm looking for, and I'm not sure what type of file it is, I can choose all files. It shows me everything that's in that particular folder or directory, regardless of whether it's an audio file or a Word doc, anything at all. If I want to narrow it down a little bit, I can also choose on all known media files. Then it'll only show me different kinds of media files. If I were to go up, for example, if I were to go to the desktop here and look in this directory here, all known media files, all files would show me a lot of extra stuff. All known media files would only show me what's there. And if I wanted to get real specific, if I was looking for a specific type of file and I knew it was a WAV, I'd click on that and it would only show me the WAV files that are in that particular directory. So you've got a lot of choices that you can, and ways you can look for files. Most of the time, it defaults to one of the file formats in here, such as WAV. But if you know you're looking for MP3s, or the easiest one and I use a lot is all known media files. That way, then it shows me what it is. I can click on it once, and then I can get the information, more detailed information of it down here in the bottom part of this dialog box. Now, there's some other choices you've got in here. You've got recent files. It shows you all of the files that you've opened here recently within SoundForge. So if you're looking for a specific file again, and you've used it recently and you've been doing a bunch of editing with it, it may already be here in this dialog. You can open the file as read only. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you really want to be careful with the file, you don't want to make sure that nothing gets altered or damaged in any way, yet you still need to either listen to the file critically, or you need to perhaps maybe select a section and cut and paste it into another file, but you want to be really careful not to do anything to the file. You can then choose this dialog and it will open the file and allow you to view it and allow you to play it, allow you to copy sections from it and paste into another file, but it won't let you do any other edits or alterations to the file. Autoplay is a function whereby if I click this and I select the file, it automatically will preview that file until I hit the stop button here. Can be kind of nice if you have to audition a whole bunch of files in a folder when you're trying to find the right one and they all have similar names like this one does, and you're not sure which one's the right one. That can be helpful. Other times it can be kind of irritating and you want to turn it off. If you do turn it off and you still want to hear the file and find out what it is, you can select the file and hit play, and it will automatically go ahead and start playing the file that way. So you have more control over manually listening to what's there. Merge left-right to stereo. If you've got 2 tracks and you know that they're both mono tracks and you want to merge them into a stereo file, you can choose this dialog, select one file, hold down your Shift key to select a second file. That way then when you open them, they will open up as stereo files. The first one will be in the left channel, I believe, and the second one will be in the right channel. I'm not going to do that in this case, seeing as how these are all stereo files, and that would be pretty messed up. You have a bunch of additional information about the file down here. So for example, in this case, I'm looking at a file type that's a WAV file. This one above it happens to be an MPEG layer 3 or an MP3 file. Also gives me the sample rate and the duration of the file. This can be pretty helpful when you're looking for specifics on a specific file. You're looking for an MP3. Maybe you have multiple versions of the same MP3. Some are at different audio sample rates, and you're looking for one that's at the highest sample rate. You can easily find that information out here. If for whatever reason you're looking down here and there's not enough information, you can actually click on the More button and brings up the general properties, which is basically all the metadata and meta tags that are available for that particular file. It gives you the file location, last time it was saved, etc., etc. So you can find out a lot of very detailed information about the file right there in this dialog, and it applies for pretty much all the files. Now, let's look at a couple of other ways of opening files inside of SoundForge. The next way is right here on the toolbar. You've got an open command, and basically if I click on this, it brings up the same dialog box. Just another way to get to the same spot. Easy way to open up a file. That way then I can select the file, click on open, and there we go. Another way you can open files within SoundForge, and I'm going to squeeze the program down a little bit so we can see the desktop behind it, is you can actually drag and drop files right into the workspace. So here I've got a file that's on my desktop. I can literally click outside the program, drag this file, and you can see how it changes to a plus icon when I drag it in there. Let go, and there's my file. It just opened up. And I can now edit and do whatever I want to the file from there. The last way that I'm going to show you is I'm going to open up in the View menu here the Explorer. The Explorer is something that is configurable. You can configure it in lots of different ways, but basically you can see a hierarchical view, and then within this particular directory that I'm looking at right here, you can see all the files that are now available to be opened. I can double-click on one of those, and there it is. When we get into the View menu and we actually look at the Explorer and some of the other windows in there in a little bit more detail, I'll explain some of the other functionality that's up here in the Explorer window. But for now, I just wanted you to be able to see the Explorer. Some people like leaving the Explorer open all the time, especially if you're only editing one file or maybe two files at a time. That way you don't have many open up here in the workspace. If you're editing and working with a lot of files and you've got a lot of files layered on top of each other, sometimes you may want to close the workspace. You can also change the size of the Explorer by just dragging up and down on the window here. And you can see how the meters and everything dynamically changes as I alter this. So you can size this depending upon the resolution that you're running your computer at. And if you want to close it, there's a little close dialog box here in the upper left corner, and it's closed. There are some real quick and easy ways and multiple ways of opening files within SoundForge.